big-time pick was made by the Los Angeles Lakers with Bronny James getting picked at the 55th overall pick. There was some stories that were started yesterday on our particular program by Sham Charania that Rich Paul would be calling NBA teams and saying, hey, don't you even think about drafting Bronny James. He's only going to one place. And then last night, Bob Myers reiterated that point during the ESPN coverage of the draft that he was actually telling teams that if you draft Bronny, he's going to Australia.
Whoa.
He's not going to Canada. He's not going to Europe. He's going to the furthest possible country away from wherever the hell your team is if you draft him. That's on you. It's a waste of a pick. And then all of a sudden he ends up with the Lakers. He gets emotional. Obviously, his dream has been to be drafted, but I think we all saw this happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're all massively surprised whenever the pick was announced, and the internet certainly responded as such. But really cool thing. Congrats to both of them.
Hell yeah.
There's always been a dream, allegedly, from LeBron James whenever he was talking to play alongside one of his kids. And obviously, Bronny, the oldest, would have been the one if it was ever to make it happen. The fact that he's still playing basketball at the level in which he is still playing basketball, and that child right there is now going to be on the same team as him, that is a cool thing to happen no matter how you feel about the draft pick. And I appreciate the amount of response and reaction to a second-round draft pick in the NBA draft, because I don't know if anybody gets picked in the second round of the NBA that is like heralded as a game changer. I mean, there's a chance Connor Campbell could have got drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers as a publicity stunt, and people would have been like, "Hey, smart idea.
Good pick.
That's all a bad idea. That's actually a fun way to utilize the second round draft, because in the end, they're trading 20, 31 draft picks right now. The second round doesn't even matter." The fact that Bronny got drafted got some people very pissed off about the nepotism and the power that LeBron James has. Giannis's brother plays in the NBA right now. I don't even know if he knows what a bucket is. Now, he's a great guy, gives great effort. Like, this is something that happens in the real world, and if anybody in this particular NBA would deserve some sort of favor, I think it would be LeBron James, who's basically carried the league on his back since he's 17 years old in this entire thing, alongside others, obviously, but through it all. So people being like, if his name wasn't Bronny James and it was Jack Smith, you think this would happen? No. Yeah. It's fucking LeBron James's kid. We're going to assume that he has some sort of insight or intel or potentially fast track to becoming a much better player in the NBA. He's been training with his uncles who have been NBA players for his entire life. He's seen how somebody takes care of their body to be an NBA player for his entire life, the commitment, the dedication, all that. So obviously, if your dad is going to be considered one of the greatest players of all time and you play the same damn sport, I assume you're going to be given a little bit more favor over other kids. That sucks, but it's reality. It happens in every business. You ever see the people talking into microphones on TV or sports or anything else? What was their fodder? What was their father's fodder? What was their mother? What was their mother's fodder? It was probably in the same exact business, and they just so happened to meet everybody that is in the business that is decision makers, so they had a head start. Bronny had a head start. That's the reality. That's not his fault, but it's also the reality of everything, and if anybody has earned it, I would say it's LeBron James, especially in the NBA. So good luck to both of them. And Wendy said this morning, he said, you are not going to see any meaningful minutes between LeBron and Bronny this year. So let's just go ahead. I think that would be any second-round draft pick potentially going to any NBA team. But what if Bronny gets in there, smacks the floor, is a jungle cat on the defensive side of the ball, and then somehow we're talking about being wet because he's working with who? J.J. Redick. So we have no idea how it works out, but we do know the internet lost their mind. Bronny and LeBron are on the same team. That's a cool story for a father-son situation, and we can't wait to see what a second-round draft pick in the NBA does, because that's literally, I would assume, if the ratings for the second-round draft, which was once again happening, interestingly, in two studios in Seaport on ESPN at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything about it was sweet. It was sweet. It was. They had a little journalist corner over there.
Of course.
Bobby Marks and Kevin did their thing. I mean, it was really good. Nobody talked. Everybody's in the same area. We can't do it. But I would assume the ratings right after the 55th pick were just like boom.
Toilet.
So the NBA is obviously pumped that this is the case. I know there's plenty of Instagram accounts and social media managers that are pumped that LeBron and Bronny will be in the same exact place once again, like whenever they're growing up and they can post everything they did. But this is the NBA news, and we'll have Sham Charania joining us in a matter of moments to break down more of it. Congrats, Bronny. Yesterday you told us, just like a lot of other things that have happened in the NBA before anybody else had mentioned them, that Rich Paul was going to be calling teams saying, hey, don't draft Bronny. You said that. It was like a matter of fact, you just said that. Is this a normal thing that takes place in the NBA during the draft? And how many teams are going to draft Bronny? And does that kind of dispel the whole notion that they only drafted him because they want to keep LeBron James? Like, other teams wanted Bronny James? Is that a part of the convo that everybody's missing?
Agents do
similar things. It's been done in the past. Teams are told all the time, don't draft this guy. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to play here. That does happen frequently. I mean, there was a few years ago, Evan Mobley, he was someone that told the Cavs, don't draft me. They drafted him anyway. He wanted to position himself down. They drafted him, and that's been a fruitful relationship ever since. So sometimes it doesn't exactly happen the way that the player intends or the agent intends, but it works out anyway. I remember in the late, Kobe Bryant's draft year, 96, he said, I don't want to play for New Jersey. His agent told New Jersey that, John Calipari that, they don't draft him. Obviously, he ends up in Charlotte, and then the Lakers, and the rest is history. Now, who knows if he ever would have stepped foot in, New Jersey if they ever did draft him? But I think John Calipari, that was probably a regret of his. But now, with Bronny James, Rich Paul started calling teams immediately once the second round started, saying, do not draft Bronny James. They already had a spot set. That spot, obviously, being the Lakers at 55. And I did say yesterday, teams in the second round, they expect and they forecast 55 Lakers as being the spot for Bronny James. Now it was just about, will a team actually have the gall to go and draft him? I was told at least a couple teams, including the Suns, who did bring him in for workout. They're the only other team besides the Lakers to work him out. They were a team that did consider it. But I think at the end of the day, Rich Paul, being respectful to LeBron James to an extent, and also understanding the amount of media attention that comes if you drafted a Bronny James without having the blessing or without having that relationship. And if you're the Suns, like, that opens Pandora's box. Like, then you start talking, just Kevin Durant get traded for LeBron. Like, what does this mean? Because LeBron wants to, at the end of the day, wants to play with Bronny. So Suns avoided it. A couple other teams looked at it, avoided it, and he ends up with the Lakers. And Rich Paul certainly throughout the second round told teams, do not draft Bronny James. He did something similar last year with Chris Livingston, ended up in Milwaukee with I believe the 58th pick in last year's draft.
Rich Paul, congratulations on having this much power in the NBA. And also, LeBron James, congrats on earning enough clout to be able to do this. It's happening in football right now where Coach Prime is actually saying there's like 3 teams that are allowed to draft my kids pretty much. Yeah. Michael Irving, I believe back in the day, told the Green Bay Packers that if they drafted him, he was going to go back to school or move to Europe or something because he didn't want to go there. So like these situations do happen, not for, like I was a 7th round pick 222. There's not a lot of leverage there. But if you have clout and have earned it in respect from basically everybody in your sport, things like this do happen. And Bronny, now there's no expectation of him playing this year, right? There isn't like a second round draft pick in the NBA. Is there normally an expectation for that person to get on the court and play meaningful minutes, or what are the thoughts here?
Yeah, so as far as how he's going to play, I mean, I do expect him to sign a legitimate contract, a guaranteed contract, a contract that keeps him on the active roster for the Lakers. Now, does that mean he spends time in the G League? Does that mean he spends time, at the end of the bench on the roster during games? I mean, you would expect that at some point this upcoming season, he's going to be on the floor with his dad. And at the end of the day, I've said it, I would expect 1 to 2 more years for LeBron James. I mean, could he play a third season? Of course, I think that's well within his rights, well within his body. But I think he's looked at the next couple years. So I'm sure Bronny want to grace the court together. And I do think that will happen eventually. But the reason he ends up on the Lakers is the investment in the contract and a true development plan. We'll see what that development plan looks like. But that's the expectation there. And yeah, overall, I mean, LeBron James is one of the greatest players in the game. And he clearly, through his influence and through everything that he's built, he spoke this really into existence a few years ago. So it's
but then you all tried to cover it up, remember?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. That was they saying about LeBron.
Yeah, he doesn't meddle in this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Bronny wants his own.
He wants to be drafted by someone.
If the Suns had drafted him, I mean, they would have. The Suns would have looked at him the same way as a guaranteed type of player, a guy that you have on the active roster. So any team that had interest in him, I mean, now listen, I wonder if he was a projected top 20, top 15 pick going into the draft, does some team essentially like just said, F it, like we're just gonna draft him. We don't care about
easy.
What was that F? What was that F?
Good Lord.
We're just. I mean, it's it's daytime hours right now, But
what?
Could a team?
When the sun goes down, that's when Sean starts letting it fly.
Yeah.
We swear.
Yeah.
The world never knows. But I will say, it was a historic moment. I mean, this is a historic moment. This has never happened in the league's history for a father-son to be in the league at the same time and as teammates, something we might not ever see again. I don't know, but I mean, it hasn't happened to this day. So I think from everything I heard, LeBron James was really emotional last night and obviously Bronny was very emotional. I think they understand the gravity behind it, and clearly you see it on Bronny's face right there.
Well, congratulations to the entire James family.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're going to get hate. They've been getting hate, though, forever. They're above it.
Yeah.
That's right. Way above.
Way above
That's
it.
beneath
They
that.
don't hear it.
Absolutely.
They don't care.
When others go low, they go high.
Take that every time.
And they've had to do that since they were teenagers.
That's right.
All right. We appreciate the hell out of you, Sean. Safe travels wherever you're headed.
Appreciate you, Pat.
Anything else we need to know? You got any just news you want to break? But it won't get credit. But
But
if it comes hours or weeks later,
right, months,
it'll come.
Maybe.
It'll certainly be a thing.
Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we said it yesterday what the strategy was going to be with Bronny James. I mean, we laid it out pretty straight. And also,
Did you?
I did say, I believe the day the Lakers season ended that they wanted to bring LeBron James back by any means necessary, and that they really wanted to draft Bronny James. So that was said.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, man. You've certainly got we know.
Yeah. Been a good offseason.
In that insider game, though, you got kicked out of your account yesterday, right? Wasn't that happening?
Oh my God! It looked like it happened to a few people, but listen. I'm not saying. I wonder what it was, but it happened about 5 picks before Bronny.
Whoa!
I mean, just interesting timing on that.
All right. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Interesting timing.
Anonymous is like, we're about tired of this little anthem.
I'm sick of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Sharani.
Hey, Shami.